Okay, recording in progress. That's an AI kind of voice. And Tim, I really appreciate your message that kind of laid out and spelled out the process. But if you could touch a little bit on um, the last activity that occurred with HUD and what they said to
Sure,
you all and
sure.
kind of the feedback you got and that would be great.
So the feedback, some of the feedback we received was the, I took the market study and argued it with the people that did the market study, as well as the managing director of that firm, who happened to be, and what I did is the head of HUD Dallas Fort Worth has a what they call like a market study person. They have a different name for it at HUD. And then they have like an internal person. And then they have the head of like just for safety, just for like the head of operations. So this managing director happened to be on a panel with those HUD people. So I basically asked for a meeting after the market study was done, and I had the people that were on the panel, and I had the managing director from the market study firm there, and I basically gave them back their own words. I said, well, in Fort Worth, you said this, and this is what I'm doing. So what we came out of it with was, I said, they were like, well, I just don't feel comfortable with the size. So, I think it's, I said, no. This is a conversation. This is not, this is open and honest discussion. This is, let's put our money where our mouth is. If you guys want to do what you say you want to do and put housing where you need it, well, then we're going to have a conversation. And this conversation means if I have to cut my units from 216 to 108, we're going to do that. And then they were like, I didn't know you'd be open for that. I said, well, if you read what I sent you, you probably would have known that. I didn't really say it that way because that would have come across a little cheeky, but the next thing we talked about was, okay, yes, there is some need here. Okay, great. And it was backed up by the market study. The next thing we talked about was, well, it sure would look a lot nicer if there was a little bit of affordability in here. Okay, great. I'll throw in X amount of units at 80% of AMI. And the deal still pencils. So given all that, once they said, Tim, off the record, one of the things I've been told before is I'm like a pit bull who bites somebody on the ankle and doesn't let go until I get my own way. So has this deal taken a long time to get me to where I feel like I'm close to getting my own way? Yes. But, we're casting a mold right now. And so once we cast this mold, it'll be easier to replicate it and move it into the future on other deals. So Paul Sherrington and I worked with Paul Smyth, and we were able to get the pro forma done, all the rents, the pro formas, the expenses, everything done, as well as incorporating the new construction budget. And from that, we had to completely redo our package to go into HUD, adding the bullets of, we have scaled down the size. We've added a degree of affordability. I mean, there's not much more they could ask for. So in addition to all of that, I asked for a new underwriter because I had a history with the previous underwriter. I didn't like her. I didn't, I voiced my opinion. They heard me and they said, absolutely, Tim, we will assign a new underwriter, and they have. Last week, I think it was after like 5 days after we received the feedback from the two polls with the new numbers and the new pro forma, we put together our package. We sent it in. It was reviewed. Shannon and I reviewed it into the ground. We sent it into HUD, and yesterday HUD responded to us, and they gave us a date for a new concept meeting, which is August 9th, I think, or August 8th or 9th. I'm not sure. I can't open it.
It's the 9th. It's the 9th at 2 p.m.
The 9th at 2 p.m. So, they're a little busy down there. I've asked to have all of the people that I've had in my discussions on the call. I'm also going to see if I can get to have the people that did the market study on the call as well. So that's where we are. It's taken a long time to get there. It's been a lot of work on a lot of people, but I believe that we have given them what they want, and we've put together a package that represents their wants and your needs. So given that, I am optimistic that we're not going in with unrealistic expectations. I think our expectations on this deal are right in line. I mean, 108 units is doable. I think the market could handle over 250 units, but we're coming in at 108. If we build it, lease it, and have a waiting list, let's go for part two, phase two.
Sure. You would anticipate that it would be easier to get the next set of buildings done if the lease out happens quickly and it's successful in getting the buildings filled up.
Well, they always want to see absorption. So, if you don't, if you're sitting in something that you come out of construction and you're sitting at 40% occupancy, that's a problem. I think the fact that one of the other properties, I can't remember where it was, they had a waiting list. Now, I will say that the waiting list was not for market rate. They couldn't determine whether it was market rate or affordable that had the waiting list. So, that's that. One of the other things that they did talk about was that co-living kind of dorm style philosophy that you guys talked about that actually put the underwriter into some sort of mental cul-de-sac. She couldn't seem to get out of that. So we axed that. That's no longer part of the plan. And I think I think where we are right now is I think we're in a good space. And I know Ron, you're hearing this now. So hi, how are you? But I know Ron is anxious to hear something and move on. I know you guys have made great inroads with other communities and other economic development people, but unless you have something that you can show them, a tangible, concrete property project that you've been able to sell to a financing institution, I think this is the only way that you should be. You have to go. Paul, would you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. One thing I just wanted to circle back on, Tim, that Monty asked, if we come out of the box with the first one, right, and it does well, I just want to sort of follow up on what Tim was saying. I think as long as it's renting quickly and doing well, getting back into HUD will be an easier process, which is I think what you were asking, correct?
Yes. I wanted
Yeah,
to
and I think it's sort of obvious, right? It's sort of piggybacking on what Tim said, which is if we show them proof of concept and it's starting to lease up quickly, that is in and of itself a testimony to what we're trying to achieve. So I think that, if we fall on our face, that'll also answer the question, right? Not
Right.
trying to be foreboding or anything. I'm just trying to lay it out. It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you build it and they come, then I think HUD will be receptive to a next, iteration of it.
Right.
And here's the other thing too. I mean, in fairness to HUD, in one aspect of their underwriting is, I mean, I don't know many people that would want to sign and be on the hook for a 20-some million loan and have a project that you're underwater on. So, I think this is a conservative route. I think it's I think for a group that has never done a HUD deal before or never done any multifamily, I think this is a good compromise. 108 units is a nice size deal.
Yeah,
So,
it is a solid beginning. It's definitely not not nearly what the community is hoping for because of the amount of need there, but I understand the proof of concept that has to be we have to get there. Question for you: the reworking of the package and 108 units, a big important part of this is the other structure that goes with the apartments, the pool, the dog park, the leasing center,
or the amenities.
how does that factor in to this first 3-building package?
Well, I would imagine that and I don't have it in front of me, but Paul, we included that in our first package. And
I'm pretty sure we did.
And
what would end up happening, Monty, I think, if I'm following the logic, is that's going to be in the first package. And then let's go to stage 2 and stage 3. I don't know how we would do it. There's lots of ways to do it sort of legally, but they would obviously get access to the amenities going forward, right? My guess is you would just amend the plot so it's all considered one community. I wouldn't break it up into 3 communities. It's a legal change.
No, you wouldn't break it up into 3 communities, but it would be, you'd have to carve off, like we're going to carve off the 3 places, the 3 buildings and the common area, so that I have a property that I can throw my lien on. Okay?
Correct. But what I'm saying is, if we were to do stage 2, that could be added in as part of it, so that it becomes part. You could extend the lien, in other words.
It's an extension. It's an extension of
Depending on how HUD wants to do it. I don't know how HUD would want to do it, but there's ways to do it, Monty.
Yeah, there are ways to do it. It's not a problem. A lot of people have done phase 2 before, where I've been to a property up in Saratoga Springs, New York, where they did the first phase was the infrastructure, the roads, the community center, and they put a tennis court, they put all this other nonsense in it there. The second phase, which went in at the same time, was 5 buildings. And they wound up having, I don't know, I think they wound up having like 22 or 23 buildings total in this development, but they were able to just add it on and add it on. And it was all part of the same master structure.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I asked that question, of course, is because the amenity center and those facilities are a cornerstone of what makes the project attractive and exciting to firefighters and prison employees and school employees who are commuting an hour each way. And so not having that would potentially impact the rate of lead, our ability to get to a full building, right?
To
Yeah,
that
so
end,
I mean, you never want to have, I'm going
but I
to
mean,
build these
Tim,
three buildings now.
to that
Yeah,
end, this has to stand alone. This has to
Yeah,
stand
I'm
alone.
not going to, exactly. I'm not going to build three buildings and tell everybody, just come in and rent. And I promise, in the next 3 years, we're going to have a pool and a community center. You're not going to do it that way. Here's the pool, here's the community center, here's the dog park. And then you add on to that saying that we have a pool, we have a community center, we have a dog park, we have a pickleball court, or whatever you want to do. That's coming in.
Right. Okay. Great. Terrific. Let's see, Paul, do you have anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, I think Tim is correct. I mean, I think, the team needs to be prepared, just like they were the first time, to be responsive. We are extremely hopeful that Tim has secured a much more responsive team for us on the HUD side by getting this changed for us. He's worked them over to better prepare them for the project. So I am hopeful that, the call is going to be well received. Obviously, we don't control them, but Tim has done as much as he can to soften them up.
I mean,
Right.
I've also, just so you know, I've flown down to Texas and met with these guys 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
3 times. So I've been in front of them face to face and have had this discussion with them. So they know me. Well, of course they know me, but they are aware of this. And so if I came across as a little frustrated in my response to you, Monty, I didn't mean to. I was just, I have spent, and my team and Paul have spent a lot of time on this, and I am 1,000% committed to getting this thing done.
Well, I appreciate that, and I don't feel like you were terse or reactive in your response at all. Listen, I'm not of the family that thinks that expressing emotion or having feelings is a bad thing. We're all entitled to that to some extent, as long as it's handled in a polite way. And I think all of us are in that camp. I did want to let you know that we did not, or I did not know anything about the whole co-living man camp thing prior to when it popped up in that meeting. I mean, I was sort of surprised and shocked, and not because it's a terrible concept, but it's not an appropriate concept for this particular project. It's not what has been. It's not what has been sold to the community, and quite honestly, it smacks of man camps, and West Texas associates man camps with boom or bust, and we don't want. This is not a boom or bust housing project. This is not. We don't want this to be associated with the oil business. There may be oil people that rent there, but we don't want that.
Yeah, so that's a very good point, and that's one of the reasons that I had to. One of the things that I had to claw back against was that my pitch was that this was not an oil town, and it's oil towns are they're hot and cold, so.
Right.
We push the eds and the eds and the prison, and those were our drivers, as well as the new industry separate and apart from the oil industry. So
Sure. That the inclusion of that, I don't know who actually ended up throwing
So
that in there.
hey, Monty, I think that came up quite honestly way back when we showed up in Austin at that first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason threw that in there, but it doesn't matter. It's out of there now. One thing, and we'll talk about this again before we have our meeting, but it's always great to have a plan.
Right.
But just remember, HUD people, redundant, ridiculous, and required. Those are the 3 R's that they live by. What you need to keep, front and center is this project. A lot of times people go in and go, oh, we're going to put a hotel over here and we're going to put a shopping center here. And then there's going to be a big block store over here with a, this and that. No.
Right.
We're putting in a hotel here. We're putting in multifamily here to serve this community. And you shouldn't even say that we're going to do a second phase or anything, because the second phase will be sold on the success of the first phase.
Exactly.
Of course. Yeah. The minute that HUD people hear, we're going to do this, and after that we're going to do this, they immediately suspect a lack of focus and determination for this project. It's the ADHD factor, right? They don't want to give $20 million loans to people with severe ADHD who are going to be all over the map, right? They want highly focused determination.
So to that point, when we have the concept meeting, as much as we're excited about Borger and all those other potential towns, they can't come up during that call.
Not even a mention of it. And I would like, to that end, I would like to suggest that we really need to have another Zoom call like this with whoever is going to be on that HUD call. We need to have a preliminary call to talk about exactly who's going to drive it, what can be said, what can't be said. We can't leave any opening or opportunity for someone to blurt something out unexpectedly that can derail the whole thing.
So
I would say that remember, less is more. And we definitely will have a call beforehand.
But I think it's going to follow the format we had before, Tim, which is you'll intro it.
Yep.
Shanda will actually walk through it. I think we will ask Ron to speak briefly, but it's really got to be brief. And honestly, we might want to just create like 5 bullets for him to focus on.
Right. And then, then after that, what we do is we let the underwriter lead the call, because they're going to keep it to an hour, and I guarantee you they're going to have a lot of people on the call. And Jason's great, but he talks a lot, so we need to keep him focused, not talking about HUD deals that he thinks he's done that are not really HUD deals, because they're not HUD deals. We just keep it to, it's multifamily. I've done multifamily. I don't want to hear that he's done hotels. I don't want to hear that he's done, shopping centers or anything else like that. Multifamily. He should be concise to say that I've done multifamily in Baltimore. I've done it in Philadelphia. I've done it in Ohio, and I've done it in New York or wherever. I just pulled those out of the top of my head. So those are the kind of things that we would look for. And, Shanda has done this a million times. Her and I have dog and ponied these things a bunch. And, I think I'm going to talk to Shanda. I'm gonna ask that we have the 2 market study people on the phone as well. And so that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, that sounds great. What would would Tuesday the 8th be an appropriate day for the two of you to host a preliminary call?
Yeah, I
I'm
think
fine.
so. Yeah, I think so. I think we can do that earlier in the day, probably around the same time.
Yeah, if we can do it at 11 a.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. our time here, that would be great. And I think the closer to the HUD meeting, the better, because
Yeah, I want it
what we,
fresh.
yeah, it's fresh, and what we talk about on the 8th will stick better on the 9th if there isn't a lot of time in between. So,
Hey, Monty,
yeah,
I actually, believe it or not, have a call on at 11 o'clock on the 8th already.
Oh,
okay,
you're so busy.
Yeah. So can we
okay.
either do it at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, or like noon Eastern, 11 Central?
Whatever you want.
Okay, noon Eastern, 11 Central. I think
Or
that
or
probably.
or or 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central.
I think the noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central probably is going to work better for Ron,
Okay.
and getting the kids out of the house and all the stuff that happens at his house in the morning.
I forgot you guys actually start school already too.
Well, yeah, they will, I think so.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I'm done with school. I won't go back this year. Um,
I wish I
so
was.
so I think that works great. I'm just going to go ahead and book it,
Book
and
it. Send it out.
on the idea that everybody else will be able to work with us on that. Who do
Book
you
it,
want
And
on
I
Dan.
that?
would,
Who do you want
Monty,
on
I
that
would go
call?
ahead.
Yeah,
Monty, I would go ahead and say that it's mandatory because,
I will. Yeah, I will.
yeah, it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
mandatory.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will. Absolutely. Who do you think should be on that call?
I think you need to have your
Us too,
construction guy.
Shanda.
Are you
Um,
saying Miles?
no. I thought he was out.
Well, Miles is going to be a de facto in the background, help the
But isn't it
construction.
Will? Isn't it Will that's the construction guy now?
That's who I understand it was, and I'll have to confirm that Will is still involved in this with Ron. I haven't spoken with Ron about Will for a little while, but I'll check with that. So Ron, Will, Jason, and
Smyth.
Paul Smyth, and you and Tim, and myself.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Got it. And
Book it,
okay.
Daniel.
But yeah, I'll book it, and I'll say it's mandatory, and then we'll just go from there.
Now, who is
And
the construction? Who's the general contractor?
the GC would be my understanding is the GC would be Will.
Yeah.
And that Miles is I guess he would be considered a consulting partner because of his experience with the
Modular.
modular. Will has some experience, and Will is a solid GC, but hasn't really done a lot of modular. Miles has done it, so they wanted Miles to do the consulting with Will on the first one of these, so that we can get the modular under Will's belt, and then going forward.
So
After that.
Will is the firm out of Dallas, Fort Worth, right?
Yeah, he was at the dinner that, remember,
Yeah.
in where did we go again?
Yes, I know where we went. It was freezing cold.
Yeah.
Up there, yeah, it was snowing. There was a blizzard. We
Correct.
got to the hotel in a sleigh, horse-drawn sleigh. Yeah.
And Paul, we were in
Amarillo.
Diego
In
the day
Amarillo.
before.
Amarillo, that's right, with the speakeasy downstairs. I believe that Will is still part of it, but I don't want to say that and not know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna get together with Ron. I'm gonna play this for Ron, show this to Ron, let him absorb what you've said.
Well, I'm assuming that Will is still in it because I presented that. That's part of my presentation to HUD. So
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he is at this stage.
I haven't heard anything different. I just haven't heard anything. So for a month and a half or 2 months. So I will confirm all of that and make sure that you don't have egg on your face, Tim.
Okay. I can do that.
Okay.
Tim
All right,
looks good
gentlemen.
today, man.
Yeah, I think this was very helpful. I appreciate you both getting
I
on
have
this
one
call.
more thing to say, Monty. I have one more thing to
Absolutely.
say.
Yeah.
That when I was down in, I'm actually going to be down in Austin in, I don't know, a couple weeks for the Texas Affordable Housing Conference.
Okay.
In Austin. But the last time I was in Austin, I was down there for what they call a dusty shoe, which is to go around a development that I did. And, they have the speakers, the mayor, everybody is there, the city manager. And it was kind of the opening of this development called Lantana. And I'm happy to say that I had a few hours free that afternoon and I went over and bought myself a pair of boots. So I am
nice.
My wife has actually said to me, she goes, I left for Dallas a couple weeks later and I had khakis on, a blue blazer, a button down. And she goes, "You're wearing cowboy boots." And I said, "Yes, I am." And she goes, "I have to tell you, they look pretty good." And I was like,
yeah, absolutely. Did you get them at Allen's Boots? Did you up on Congress? Where'd you get
I
them?
went next door to Takova's and bought the boots there. So
Okay,
yeah.
I think that's Allen's Boots.
No, Allen's was here, and then Takova was like half a block up. So
okay, all right. So you're happy with them? They feel good?
very happy. I'm kind of bummed that it's 100 degrees here and I can't wear them these days, but I wear golf shoes now, so it's good.
They do wear them down in Texas when it's 100+ degrees, right?
Absolutely.
I will be wearing them in Austin.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I hope when you make it to Austin, I hope that we would have an opportunity to visit for even a little bit.
Yeah, let's catch up while I'm down there.
Okay.
yeah, I can't make that conference because I'm heading up to Brown that week. That's exact same time. I remember that.
Okay. Well, we know you're going to be having a great time at Brown, and Paul, I really appreciate you. Great setting behind you. I love plantation shutters. They're my favorite. And let me see that T-shirt. Stand up. Let me see what's on that T-shirt. Come on. Yeah. All right. Well, did you notice the center poster?
I did.
I love it. I love it. So quick story. I'll let you guys go, but I had a good buddy of mine who's no longer with us, unfortunately, who grew up in Malibu, who was a surfer, a fisherman, a contractor, builder, worked on people's homes in Malibu, and he would invite me to these great parties down there that had all kinds of people, rock stars and everybody. And he invited me down to his daughter's 4th birthday party. And they had a little tiny blue house right near the Malibu colony. They were renting. They didn't have the money to buy a multi-million-dollar house, but they had a little blue house with a little yard. And they had all these 4-year-olds running around. They had a pony in the backyard, and the kids were getting pony rides. And I'm walking out to the backyard to see these kids riding pony around, And Robert Downey Jr. was one of their neighbors at the time, and he was there with one of his kids. And he came up to me and said, "Oh, you have a kid here?" And I said, "No, it's my friend Scotty." And he knew my friend Scotty because their kids went to the same school. And he was a super, super, super nice guy. A guy with a serious and actually, his drug addiction problems came after this little birthday party. Later, he got into serious drug abuse. And fortunately for all of us, he managed to get his life back on track. And he survived. He's now a lifetime member of AA, I'm sure, and is bringing a lot of great entertainment to all of us. So we have Iron Man because he managed to get out of the pit.
Good.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly
gentlemen.
correct.
Gentlemen, I'll let you go. I appreciate your time today, and I'm sure Ron will appreciate being able to hear some of these details.
All right, guys. Sounds good.
I'll talk to you all on the 8th.
Here we go. A little Iron Man to close off to.
Love it.
See you. Take
care.